Kelsey?
Yes.
Do you want to make cinnamon rolls?
Absolutely.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Morgan's Menu. So today we have a very special guest, my sister. Hello! So I've talked about her before because she also has a YouTube channel where she talks a lot about how she has celiac.
Check it out.
AKA means she can't eat gluten and like very sensitive and can't have it at all, like no touching at all. Anyway, if you want to learn more about that and how that affects her life, check out her channel because she does a lot of videos on kind of like fun facts about it and recipes and different things. So you can check that out. But since she is here visiting me today, we thought we'd kind of do one of her recipes / my recipes, but to fit her needs. And we're going to be making homemade cinnamon rolls. So for Christmas every year, my family has always made homemade cinnamon rolls. Growing up, we always did the, are you making fun of how I say cinnamon? Cinnamon. I was trying to just roll over it. Anyway. Yeah, every year at Christmas, we always made cinnamon rolls. We used to just do the Pillsbury ones that come in the little can that you can just pop out and make. But then when Kelsey was diagnosed with celiac and we found out that she's also lactose intolerant, we obviously can't buy that in a can. So we've tested out a bunch of different recipes over the past couple of years using different flours and different ingredients and stuff, trying to get gluten-free, dairy-free cinnamon rolls to taste not like gluten-free, dairy-free cinnamon rolls, basically.
Not like cardboard.
Yeah. A lot of times when you use like gluten-free flour and that kind of stuff, it doesn't rise, it kind of gets more dry, it's very hard to work with, so sometimes you overwork it and different stuff like that. So it can be very difficult to get something that is naturally all gluten and dairy to turn it into not gluten and dairy. But like I said, we've done this for several years now. We've kind of found a really good recipe and found good ingredients. So I wanted to share that with you and surprise Kelsey with cinnamon rolls because obviously cinnamon rolls are a process, so this is not something that she makes on Wednesday just for herself.
And I just ended a 3-day diet, so I was excited for just plain old eggs, and then she was like, cinnamon rolls? And I was like,
yeah. Please. So, anyway, want to get started?
Yes.
Okay. So I obviously only make this like maybe once or twice a year, so I'm going to be following it on my phone over here, so just... yeah, but I'll link this recipe down below and then of course do the steps as usual. So the first step is you basically just want to take a 1/4 cup of lukewarm water, which we have here, and then you're going to add in the active yeast, instant yeast. So we're going to add in the yeast into this little thing here with the lukewarm water, and then we're going to add in a pinch of just regular old white granulated sugar.
When you make the yeast, it's very important to follow the directions exactly, because if you don't, it will really mess up anything you bake. Yeast is super important that you follow those directions.
It just is a sprinkle of sugar. Stir until well combined.
Hi, baby! Do you feed it on one's menus? Are you going to feed it on one's menus? You excited for cinnamon rolls in your Christmas sweater?
Okay, so basically you want to then set this to the side and let it do its thing for 5 minutes. And if it starts to like foam and stuff, which sounds weird if you've never used it before, but it'll make sense. If it starts to do that after 5 minutes, then it's good to go. If not, wait another 5 minutes until it gets that weird foamy. You'll know what I'm talking about. Actually, I can probably do this. Okay, so now that we're waiting for the yeast to start doing its thing, we need to add in 1 3/4 cups of milk and 2 large eggs and a 1/2 cup of melted butter. So if you hear the background, Kelsey's melting the butter over there. So and now we're gonna add in our 1/2 cup of melted butter.
You waited till I was sitting down. All right.
And then you just want to whisk all that together. bubbling. So we can start measuring out our flour. Gluten-free.
Gluten-free.
I got this big bag from BJ's for the same price that the small bag at my grocery store is, so that's one for me. That's fine. Okay, so now we need to add in the half cup of sugar. Oh my god, it's sweaty.
You don't hold the.
Yeah. No, drop the whole bag.
You flatten that out. Come on.
Okay,
Oh, that's right.
all right, half a cup of sugar, and then salt, about a teaspoon. Now our yeast is bubbling. We're gonna start by adding the flour. So basically don't want to add all 4 cups in at once because it gets really tough to stir. Ooh, that sound. It's like my own personal stand mixer.
Yeah. What is it? KitchenAid.
KitchenAid.
I'm your KitchenAid.
Just making these is always just the biggest mess ever. So adding 2 people and a camera.
Well, thankfully we're making this at, what time is it now?
10.
10. Normally we're making it at like
Yeah.
7:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
like on Christmas morning.
Trying to rush because so we can go open our presents because we're still 5 years old.
I needed like a wooden spoon by the time.
Wooden
or like, you know, like hard.
Not wooden.
Because this one's so flaccid.
Plastic.
What a word.
Okay, so after you've stirred it with either your KitchenAid or yourself, get it, KitchenAid.
Hey, I got it.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm sous chef.
Ooh.
Sous chef Kelsey.
So basically now, once you've mixed together the first initial 4.5 cups of flour, basically, as long as it seems like it's the right consistency, you can leave it at this point. If it seems still like really wet and kind of more gooey and not necessarily like dough, it's more like, I don't know, it'll make sense. But then you want to add in a half a cup of flour and slowly add that in each to get to the right consistency. But with this flour and everything, it is good. Like,
So, I think so.
yeah, sorry. That was cute.
Please edit that out. I told you.
How many times does Kelsey say, please edit that out?
We'll have a counter in the corner.
Okay. So now we basically, you want to cover this with either plastic wrap or like a rag or whatever you have. Set it in a, what does it say, warm area? Warm spot to rise for about an hour. So these do take a while, but they're worth
So
it.
don't start making them at 10. Start making them at 7.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been more than an hour. Almost 2 hours. But our dough has risen and it's ready to be rolled into the cinnamon rolls.
That is what we're making.
So basically what we're going to do now is put a bunch of flour on this table and work this out to roll it, and then we're going to work on the inside filling and then do all that stuff. So first up, let's make a mess. This is the fun part. So basically literally just dump flour on whatever surface you're working on. And then, yeah, spread it out.
wash my hands.
Don't worry.
Twice.
All right. So now we're going to take this and put it on our surface. And then I'm just gonna put a little flour on top of it as well so that when we roll it out, it doesn't get stuck to the rolling pin. Because gluten-free flour will stick very easily. Yeah, you can spread it out. Do you want to roll it?
You can roll it.
Okay. So now we're just gonna take a rolling pin. I've just never used this one before, so this is the first time I'm using it. Normally, honestly, I would use like a water bottle or a wine bottle or something, and just washed it. So if you don't have one of these, don't worry. Basically, you just want to roll it until it's flat, and I think it's like 8 by 11.
I'm not gonna touch you because I'm cooking and that'd be nasty.
All right, so now we're gonna make the filling. Roxy's checking out our every move over here. So now we're gonna work on the filling, which is basically butter and a bunch of sugar and cinnamon. So do you want to do the cinnamon sugar mixture or spread the butter across?
Your channel.
No, pig. I've been doing everything. Well, not everything, but like I feel like I'm doing too much. I want you to.
No. It's more exciting.
No. All right.
No.
You can do the butter. So we need 6 tablespoons of this, and just spread it as evenly as you can on the top. So I got 8 tablespoons.
Not melted or anything, just straight.
It's supposed to be softened at room temperature. It's pretty soft.
Okay.
So it should work. So
Thanks.
So Kelsey's going to take 6 tablespoons of butter and just spread it as evenly as she can across the top of the dough here. And then I'm going to work on the other mixture. So I need a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, a 1/2 cup of regular granulated white sugar, and 2½ teaspoons of cinnamon. So that's what I'm going to be putting in this bowl here.
Welcome back!
When Kelsey was spreading out the butter, my parents called us. So
Check out my vlog to see what happens.
you didn't record it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna record what we're doing tonight.
Oh, right.
Yeah. We're gonna change plans. Wow.
Check it out. Okay. Anywho, so basically all she did was just take 6 tablespoons of butter and spread it out. Make sure it's room temperature because it was really, really easy to spread. It turned out way better than we thought it was. So I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but just spread it on an even layer. Make sure you go all the way to the edges. So now I'm going to go ahead and prep the sugar mixture.
It smells so good.
I'm working on it.
Welcome back to my channel.
Okay. All right, so now basically all we have to do, now that you've spread all the cinnamon sugar out, so we're gonna roll it and then cut it into the cinnamon rolls. One big roll to a bunch of little rolls. All right, I'm guessing you want me to do this. All right, I'm gonna stand up.
Every time I do it, you end up yelling at me.
So basically the end is like the hardest part to start because you have to obviously get it started, but then once you get it started, it rolls pretty easy. So it's now rolled into a big old log here. Basically, as you're rolling it, you kind of just want to pinch together anywhere that like the dough breaks off or like breaks and has a hole in it. And it's a slow process, but you just keep forming it with your hands and it eventually comes together. So now we're going to put them in a baking sheet here. So we're going to spray it with a little cooking spray. And then now we're going to take this log and basically cut it into 6 individual things.
I'm like a live studio audience. I just.
Alright, so now it's basically gonna look like a little smushed. So I typically at this point kind of round it out so that it looks like a sickle cinnamon roll. And then we're just gonna put them on here.
A sickle cinnamon roll.
It's genetic, David.
Yes, I know that.
We're not going for appearance here. We're going for
We go for taste and flavor. What really matters on things.
All right, so here they are. So now you can basically, we've done it both ways. You can either put it directly in the oven at this point and they'll turn out fine, or you can let them rest for another hour, and we're actually gonna go do that because we have some other things we have to do. So we're gonna let them rest for an hour and then we'll come back and eat them and cook them and finish cooking them. So basically, if you're gonna let them set, just use the same like towel thing that you used before, cover it and let them rise in a warm place, or just throw them directly in the oven.
Flat hands.
Hi guys, so it's actually officially the next day. You see Roxy? Hi Roxy. So if you hear squeaking in the background, that's her having a grand old time. But it's officially the next day. We didn't end up having time to like fully make the cinnamon rolls and everything once we got back from running errands yesterday. So we figured we just save them for this morning. So all I did was, we did end up letting them like rest and rise in that pan for about 2 hours, and they did get a lot bigger. So if you have time to do that when you make them, definitely try not to skip that step if you can. But then from there, we just put a top on them and put them in the fridge overnight. So here's what they look like now. Sorry, the lighting's kind of weird up here, but so they are now ready to go. So we're just going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And then once that's done preheating, we're gonna bake them for about 25 to 30 minutes. They might take an extra 5 or 10 because they are so cold from being in the fridge, but I'll let you guys know how long it takes once they're done. So while the cinnamon rolls are cooking, basically all you need to do is prep up the icing that's gonna go on top. So we really like a cream cheese icing, especially with the vegan gluten-free cinnamon rolls, because if you just use powdered sugar and milk, because you can't use like whole milk and that kind of stuff, it gets too thin, so the cream cheese is really good. So basically you just need 4 ounces of vegan cream cheese. This brand is good, but really probably anything will be perfectly fine because you're adding some sugar and stuff in it. And then you're gonna need a 1/4 cup of butter at room temperature, 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. You may not need quite enough 2 cups. I think 2 cups makes it pretty sweet. So if you want more of a cream cheese flavor, you could do a little bit less. So you can just play around with that taste. We'll need a teaspoon of vanilla extract and then just a little bit of salt to help bring out those flavors. So Kelsey's gonna pull that together, so I'll show a little clip of that, but basically you just put all the ingredients in a bowl and stir it together. Alright, so here's what they'll look like when they're done. You'll see that they'll start to brown just a little bit on the top. This ended up taking about 38 minutes because they were in the fridge beforehand, so just increase that time a little bit if you do what we did. But if not, probably 30 to 35 minutes will still be perfectly fine. And then here is the prepared icing. We actually ended up only using half the amount of sugar, so we did 1 cup of the confectioners or powdered sugar, and then all the other ingredients were the same. And then we also microwaved it a little bit once we put all the ingredients in, just to get it at an easier consistency to stir. So now we're just going to spread the icing on top of all the cinnamon rolls, and they'll be ready to go. Alright, so now that the cinnamon rolls are done, that'll conclude today's video. Obviously it was stretched out over like 2 days, but they turned out really, really good. We're really excited to eat them. Right, Kelsey?
Yes!
So I hope you enjoyed today's video and kind of the collab with my sister. If you have any questions on the recipe, make sure you leave those in comments down below. Also, if you don't need this to be gluten-free or dairy-free, you can basically just swap out all your normal ingredients for this. The recipe we actually followed isn't completely gluten-free and dairy-free, so you can follow that recipe. We basically, like I said, followed every step except for the icing at the end. But as always, leave me comments down below if you have any questions or have any recommendations for recipes for me or me and Kelsey to make in the future. If you're new here and haven't subscribed, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I post on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thanks again for watching Morg's Menu, and hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.
No. Okay. Are you going to put that in the beginning as a little blooper thing? Sure. Okay.
Even though you probably can't hear us when we're whispering right now. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hi.
Good luck. Only have 1 shot at
Wait,
this.
give me a spoon too.
How about this one?
No.
Give a hand for Mitch the assistant.
The blue one.
Sorry,
My first video, I popped in the screen. Like, good morning!
Get out of here.
Good luck.
Welcome back. Editing out little bits at the end because she went. I'm sorry for the dog noises in the background. I brought my dog with Thanksgiving. If you want to see more of her, hop on over to my channel. Woo! Do not use that.
What?
I just migrating.
Oh no, my battery's dying. Did this get moved? Did we move the table? What's
Yeah, it's like pointed this way. You gotta point it back this way.
So we're just going.